We are finally doing video. And this is not a fake out. We're actually doing it this time. What I will say is that Geoff and I have had many conversations about trying to make this a full-length video podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And at least in the short term, we decided that's probably not feasible until we're able to hire a video editor. But
well, I would say Justin decided this.
Well,
Justin,
okay.
I would say Justin decided this.
It's funny you say that because
but
I think
agree.
you
Well,
decided
no.
it by not
Well.
editing the video podcast multiple times. How about that?
Okay.
So instead, we are choosing to do short form video. And we have already put out a couple of shorts on Instagram and our newly created YouTube channel, where you can now listen to all of our past episodes and watch clips.
Yeah, spread the word. Spread the good word. By the way, that one video you posted of us talking about, what was it?
Geoff's always got his finger on the pulse of Bant's podcast every week. He knows he's just so locked in. I'm coming to the cottage. Justin.
Hey Jane, see you in 2 weeks. XO, Lily, Geoff,
And welcome to Bants. And listeners, we did a hard pivot. You know, sometimes the people request something and we have to listen to the people in those situations. And this week, instead of doing Marty Supreme, which we had originally planned,
Yes,
we pivoted to Heated Rivalry because it is the hotness right now.
the hotness. Oh, you know what? I kind of like that. Remember when that was like something people said in middle school? Do you?
Some shade thrown my way right now. I'm using middle
What do you
school
mean
language.
shade? No. Oh, listen, Justin, the mid 2000s are back in a very big way.
Mm-hmm.
They're back in a very big way. Have you seen, okay, this woman on TikTok the other day, young girl, pretty girl, she was dressed wearing low-rise distressed jeans, a really long camisole, like white camisole that was kind of lacy, you know, the type
Yeah.
that went down like past her like vagina in terms of length over the jeans.
Interesting metric of length.
Well,
but okay.
I should say mid-thigh. It was like mid-thigh length.
Sure.
And she had like on a pink by Victoria's Secret sequined hoodie. And she also had quite a bit of makeup on her face. And I thought she was doing a bit at first, like dressing like in, you know, millennial. And she was like, just getting ready, just like put on my cute outfit, headed out to a bonfire with my friends. I was like, this girl literally looks like all of my classmates from like late middle school era and through high school. Like the McBling era, the pink velour and sequined tracksuit like hoodie.
Yeah.
It was wild to see.
That does sound a little bit like she's doing a character, though. Going to a bonfire with my friends, like, you know, this is very
Well,
like the
right.
summer I turned pretty or something, you know?
The summer I turned pretty. What about the summer I turned ugly? I remember I looked in the mirror one day and I said, who is this looking back at me? Who is the girl I see? It was crazy when that happened. There's just like a certain time when your face falls, you know? You haven't experienced it yet, but she coming for you.
Listen, I'm embracing aging. I feel like I'm going to age well. You know, my family, my dad,
You are.
I think he's
Your dad
aged pretty
looks
well.
great.
Yeah.
And your mom does too. Actually, both your parents are like very good looking people and look good for their age.
Well, I'm going to pass that along to them. I'm sure they'll appreciate it. And I got my fingers
Let 'em
crossed
know.
that I will also age gracefully. We'll see.
I hope so for you too. You know what? Speaking of things that are coming back into fashion, I had a couple of questions
Sure.
for you.
Before you get into your questions, Geoff,
What?
I do want to just inform the listeners about some updates, programmatic updates that we've been making
Oh
here
my God! Here we
at
go.
Bants. This is exciting, Geoff.
This is exciting.
You are the
It
top.
could have waited.
You're the top proponent. Well, we got to say this at the top, Geoff. We got to
Okay.
make sure
All
people
right, fine.
are listening to this before they click away. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
We are finally doing video, and this is not a fake out. We're actually doing it this time. What I will say is that Geoff and I have had many conversations about trying to make this a full-length video podcast.
Mhm.
And at least in the short term, we decided that's probably not feasible until we're able to hire a video editor. But,
Well, I would say Justin decided this.
well,
Justin,
okay.
I would say Justin decided this.
It's funny you say that because
but
I think
agree.
you
Well,
decided
no.
it by not
Well.
editing the video podcast multiple times. How about that?
Okay.
So instead, we are choosing to do short form video. And we have already put out a couple of shorts on Instagram and our newly created YouTube channel, where you can now listen to all of our past episodes and watch clips. So look out for those in socials. I'm also adding social links to the bottom of our show description starting now. So if you want to follow us on those places, it'll be a huge help. You know, like those shorts, share the shorts if you find them funny. This is a great way to, help us out here on the pod. So very exciting news.
Yeah, spread the word, spread the good word. By the way, that one video you posted of us talking about, what was it?
Jeff's always got his finger on the pulse of Bant's podcast every week. He knows he's just so locked in.
Oh, we were talking about Rose Byrne.
Yes, we were talking about her glorious win at the Golden Globes.
I gotta say, for the first post, that one did very well.
Yeah, it did. I mean, we got over 1,000 views on YouTube, and I don't know what you're the one who controls the Instagram, so I don't know what the numbers are there, but it seemed to do pretty well.
Are those all the updates? Wait a bit. What about chapter support? Chapter support, Justin.
Listeners may know and may have noticed that in the show notes recently, I have been adding timestamps for each of our segments, like each of our hot topics, and then our main topic and our what's goods. Now, in the latest update for Apple Podcasts, there is chapter support. So you can see when you're scrubbing through the podcast where the chapters are, and you can kind of pick by topic, which I just wanted to shout out because Spotify's had that for a minute, and it's cool to see it on Apple Podcasts. So if you haven't updated yet, that's a reason to update. I think it's pretty cool.
We love that update.
Yeah.
It is sometimes fun to just skip to your favorite parts of a show,
Yeah, or if we're talking spoilers, or you're like,
right.
I haven't seen this TV show, but I've seen this one, so I want to hear what Geoff and Justin have to say about that,
Justin, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Also, it's kind of fun to if you found something particularly funny or interesting to go back to it later. Be like, oh, I wanted to hear what they said about this again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun. We like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I have for you, I've just been feeling that the discourse currently is in its flop era, and there are a lot of really dumb phrases out there, and I think that I would like to change that. And so, Justin,
interesting. Okay.
I have a few suggestions for what I consider to be very good phrases and words that I think that we should start employing in everyday life. And along with that, I have a list of phrases that I don't want to hear. Get the words out of my ears. I don't want to hear that.
Okay, I'm so curious to hear what's in and what's out in terms of these phrases. So let's hear it.
All right. So the first phrase that I think is out for 2026 is an adjective that I love and have been employing since I heard Naomi Campbell utter it on her short-lived Oxygen show, The Face, in 2013.
That's a deep
And
pull.
that word is diabolical.
You're saying diabolical's out.
I'm so sorry. And I love diabolical, but it is being overused in the cultural lexicon of America right now.
Okay.
Diabolical is out.
Well, I trust you. I've been using diabolical, as have we all. But,
as is everyone.
Yeah.
It had a real surge, I would say, in 2024. And I think we're at the point where it's completely overused now. So I don't want to hear it anymore.
Okay.
So instead of diabolical, I'm going to suggest that we all start using one of my favorite phrases, which is dark-sided, in its place.
So instead of something that peaked in 2024, we're using something that peaked, 2018?
Did Dark-Sided peak in 2018?
When did that episode air? It was a long time ago, didn't it?
Justin, that episode of Wife Swap is firstly legendary. Okay?
Legendary?
Yeah, legendary.
This is gender ideology.
What are you talking about? It's legendary.
Sorry,
Justin, you're feeling a little legendary, and for that, I'm calling ice on you. How about that? You're in jail, actually. Going to a camp. How's that sound?
Bad. I'm anti-camp.
You're spreading
personally.
your legender ideology. Okay, well, that episode, that iconic episode of Wife Swap, I think was probably in 2004, 2005.
Okay,
maybe?
so much longer ago than 2018. My bad.
Yes. But again, Justin, the mid 2000s are back. They're back in a very big way. And so I'm saying let's bring back words of that era that we might have heard.
Okay, so we're out on diabolical. We're in on dork-sided.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you can say dork-sided or dark-sided. Either one is acceptable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Either one's acceptable.
Sure.
Okay, so I have another one that I think we must stop using.
Mm-hmm.
I'm tired of hearing blank hits or blank hits different. That is very old at this point in time. I feel like that was something people were saying when I was like in college or like right after college.
Now, I'm assuming you're going to offer up an alternative. Is that true?
Well, now this isn't a 1-for-1 list necessarily.
Okay.
I just had particular words that I thought were, I had
You're
gripes
bringing
with
up
them.
issues and you're not fixing them. Noted. Okay.
Well, Justin, I can't do it all. I can't do everything here.
How do you feel about?
So I'm saying hits and hits different and slaps.
I was going to ask about slaps. I love slaps.
No, slaps is done. Slaps is done.
Damn.
I don't like that anymore. Don't you think it's overused?
Listen, I like it because I just like all the words for songs. Like this song slaps, bop, banger, slapper.
Okay, I'm bringing back bop. How's that?
Okay, was it ever gone?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well,
I think it's been really used in the gay community. And as we all know, language originates in the Black queer community, right? And then it becomes whitewashed and becomes for the hets. And that's another thing. We're not saying hetero anymore. We're saying hets.
Hets? Okay, cool.
Yep. So when you go into a club and a gay club and all the girls are there for a bachelorette party, we're saying the hets have arrived. It's done. Okay, I have a few more. I'm tired of hearing we're cooked. Chat, we're cooked.
We're so fucking cooked, bro.
And that's a double for you because I'm also tired of chat. We're not saying chat anymore because, again, I'm on a mission to stop the advent of A1 technology. And using this in our everyday lives is normalizing it. And A1 is not normal.
Wait. How is chat related to A1?
Okay, well, chat can refer to either a group chat or it can be about Chat GPT.
Is definitely. I don't think it's ever used as Chat GPT. I
Justin,
think it's a group chat or it's for Twitch streamers that are talking to their chat. That's almost always what it's related to.
Oh damn! Well, maybe I'm cooked.
I think you're washed.
Maybe I'm cooked.
I think you're absolutely washed, Geoff. All of your opinions, all of these ins and outs. I don't know if I trust this anymore.
All of them? I don't know.
I'm using slaps. I'm sticking with slaps.
Some of these are good.
I'm sticking with slaps.
Fine. You can say that. That's fine. You do what you want to do.
Cool.
These are my suggestions for culture.
Thank you for the suggestions. Very good advice for the listeners. Yeah. We love to keep you all up to date on the culture. But Geoff, speaking of keeping everyone up to date on the culture,
why
don't we get into our
hot topics?
Really excited one.
That was my death rattle.
Harry Styles, Geoff. Are you a fan?
Well, yes. He has those good songs. Harry's House and all of that.
He has those good songs. He does have some good songs. Were you like a One Direction person?
No.
Being such a youth?
Too old.
Being so young?
Yes. Well, I forgot about that. I mean, I was friends with them before they became famous on X Factor.
Oh, of course. You're close personal friends with Harry Styles.
Close personal friend. More with Zayn.
Of course. Yeah, I was not really a big One Direction person. Of like the One Direction members that have gone on to have solo careers, I mean, obviously, I think Zayn and Harry are the two big names.
Wow, the Liam erasure.
Are we really pretending like Liam has as big of a platform as Harry and Zayn? Well,
by the way, Justin, firstly, how dare you? He is deceased, you rude bitch.
We talked about it on the pod. I mean, he still has...
Well, you said has. I don't know. That sounds like present.
He still has a footprint, a cultural footprint, even though he's passed.
Had.
Okay, sure.
A cultural
I guess when somebody passes away, everybody just immediately forgets about them. Good to know.
That's not what I said. Yeah, delete all this. Delete this all. You're crazy. Okay, but I am saying Liam Payne did have that one great song. Put that down on me. Yeah. And he did that like weird little dance thing, spinning all around. Remember that?
Yeah, of course. I think Harry Styles is really the only one that's really tried to lean into being like a quote unquote like serious artist. Like obviously he's still making pop music, but he's doing very like Bowie adjacent music. I think he's trying to be like David Bowie or Prince or whatever. So I don't know. I was like kind of into Harry's House. I liked what is it? Something at a sushi restaurant. I forget what the name of the song is, but I thought it was pretty cool. Pretty good album.
Yeah, I like that. I thought that what is it? Dinner at a Sushi House? Sushi restaurant?
It's something at a sushi restaurant. I'm totally blanking on the full
I can't
name.
even speak today. I can't even speak.
You're doing so great, Geoff.
Am I? I don't know about this. Wait, he also had the other song, As It Was.
As It Was. Yeah, that's the big one off of Harry's House for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I will say I was a hater of Watermelon Sugar. I'll say that.
I mean, it was like objectively not a great song, but it was very catchy.
Overplayed.
And the radio loves to play that stuff. Oh yeah. Family friendly hit.
The reason we're talking about Harry Styles, of course, is that he just announced a new album, which is called Kiss All the Time, Disco, occasionally.
Okay.
This is coming out in March 6th.
Right.
He has not put out a single yet, but he has released the album art, which I put into our show doc here.
I surely did see it.
Any thoughts, any expectations, any thoughts on the album art?
It is definitely like interesting. It's like a striking cover. It's very dark. The disco ball is prominently featured, and his pose and his clothing. It's like one of those things I could see in like 20 years. This will be like one of the best album arts of like the 2020s or something.
It is like a cool album cover. It seems like the disco ball is being hung like in this outdoor kind of dusk like environment.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like a club, but like Harry's fit does look a little bit like, I don't know. I mean, he's wearing blue jeans and like a small t-shirt.
It's a little Bruce Springsteen coded.
It's a little bit Bruce Springsteen. It's also a little bit like ravey, I want to say. Like it's looking a little bit more like industrial than like artsy, which I think was more the Harry's House era style. He's looking a little bit more, I guess, minimalist in a way. Like he's, instead of being maximalist like he was on Harry's House.
I think that the cover belies the sound that we will hear. Because he doesn't really do anything minimalist, and disco is like not a minimalist genre of music. It's very big, it's very loud, it's a lot of sounds.
Yeah.
So I'd be very surprised if it were, but I do kind of think it's cool that he has like almost like a 1970s like aesthetic in terms of the colors that he used, like the magenta and the cyan, the black, and then his outfit is like very 70s Americana looking.
Yeah, it is very American, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it does feel very Springsteen, like you said.
He's a very interesting. Oh, it's music for a sushi restaurant. That was the name.
That's what it was. Music for a sushi restaurant.
That's a dinner at a sushi restaurant. Damn, I really sound like an old person. Have you heard Harry Styles? He has a new song. I think it's Dinner at a Sushi Restaurant. Okay, so I'm excited about this. The artwork, actually, now I'm thinking about it, it reminds me a lot of The Clash. They had like this album art from like the 80s. I forget what album it was, but it was like this bright green and this magenta color.
London Calling.
With like a dark... The London Calling,
it's like one of the most iconic album covers, yeah.
Right. It reminds me a little bit of that. It's like almost like a callback to that.
Yeah, maybe that's what I meant when I said industrial, is that it does, like his fit is a little bit punk rock.
Yeah, okay.
Right?
I can see that.
With the short hair and the small t-shirt,
Yeah, famously The Clash and London Calling, very punk rock music.
And there is like a bit of a overlap between like rave culture and punk culture, I feel like. There is some overlap there.
It's
so
underground, it's gritty.
I mean, you know me. I'm a electronic music guy. So like I would love to see Harry experiment a little bit with electronic music, if that is what he means by disco, occasionally. I guess we'll see.
I'm excited for it. I wouldn't be surprised if it was more of a rock sound with disco influence, which would be very The Clash. What about Rock the Casbah?
Good.
Do you know that song?
Yeah.
But good? That's all you have to say about it?
Do you have a deeper take? I mean, it's kind of like, I feel like everything that's been said about it has been said.
Oh, well, excuse me, Mr. Music Critic over here. I don't know. I just like, that gets stuck in my head quite often. Shari don't like it. Dun, 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 rock the Casbah. Rock the Casbah.
It's great.
We should go to the Casbah. What do you think about that?
Okay. You paying?
Okay, next.
Okay, well, let's stay on the music train here.
Am I paying off fraudulent ass broke ass beach?
Bruno Mars has announced a new album called The Romantic, featuring the single I Just Might. And he has put out a music video, which I think has already racked up somewhere around like 40 million views at time of recording.
Okay.
Geoff, this is the first Bruno Mars album since A Night with Silk Sonic, which was his collaboration with Anderson .Paak. That came out 2021.
Well, it's his first album since he escaped from Las Vegas.
And it's also his first solo album in a decade. His last solo album was 24 Karat Magic.
Is that true?
Yes, that's true. 10 years.
He's been in prison for so long, Justin. Let's celebrate him getting freedom. Emancipation of Bruno. The emancipation of Bruno.
I would like to ask you to give a little bit of context into these comments about escaping from Vegas, because listeners may not be as in tune as you are. And then I would love to know your opinion on the
song. Okay, well, let me start with the song. I think the song sounds very Bruno. And I don't think that's a bad thing. It's just, I don't ever expect anything groundbreaking from Bruno. He loves to live in his retro fantasy. And you know what? People like it. And Bruno Mars is an excellent singer, great performer, good dancer, young dancer. Mm-hmm. So, I can't hate on the song. It's very what I expect of Bruno. But the escape from Vegas comment, I feel like we've talked about this on the pod several times, but
once.
Bruno Mars is Bruno Mars is allegedly in a ton of gambling debt and was posted up in Las Vegas. I forget which hotel it was now. I want to say MGM, but that may be wrong. For 3 years doing a residency, and it was widely speculated that he was there and not touring or producing new music because he owed the casino so much money and needed to work off his debts. It started out as a silly rumor, but then kind of people were wait a second, maybe this is actually true, because why is he in Vegas for so long?
Yeah. I mean, it is interesting that it's taken him this long. And then listen, you said it's not necessarily a bad thing that it sounds like more Bruno. Listen, Geoff, I think this song has really turned me. I'm about to go off on this song because this is perhaps the worst song I've heard this year so far, and maybe since the Katy Perry episode. Okay,
he must have missed my single.
This song is so bad. First of all,
okay,
it's an absolute nothing burger lyrically. Okay, it's just
I mean, no one's listening to Bruno Mars for his lyrics. He's not an English teacher.
Is it for the musicality? Because also there's not a lot of that going on.
Your English teacher escaped Las Vegas.
Did you hear the bridge of this song where he just says woo multiple times? Whoa, 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 whoa. Yeah. What the fuck's going on there? Also, the crowd vocals in the background are absolutely ripped off of Walking on Sunshine. And I did check to see if this was an interpolation or something that they were credited for. No, just a complete rip off of Walking on Sunshine. Exactly. It's exactly the same whoa.
Well, that was the wrong key. Wow. Okay.
And then musically, it's so boring. It's if you did 2016 or whenever Get Lucky came out, 2013 era Daft Punk, but worse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's really not hitting for me. And if you look at the album cover for this album as well, it looks like something that somebody it also looks like it's from 20 years ago. This looks like a amateur album cover. And what I don't get is how it's possible that this song is already so big. We're talking, if you look at the global hits, it's top 3 on Apple Music right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned the number of plays on the music video. I will admit, Bruno Mars, he's charming. The video is him performing with clones of himself on different instruments. It's cute. He's got a couple of fun little dance moves. He's so you think he can dance contestant or whatever, but he's got a couple of fun moves in there. And he's charming, and I get that, but the music is really bad. And it's just shocking to me. Call me a Bruno Mars hater.
I will, because you absolutely sound like one. Bruno Mars is not an artist who I ever expect to push the boundaries lyrically, musically. I expect him to always put out stuff that is radio friendly, that is catchy, that it sounds retro. It has the R&B soul, sometimes even a new jack swing thing. He never does anything that's new. He's always making music that is referential. And I don't hate that for him. It's his thing. It works for him. And it really is a crowd pleaser. People love it. That's why it's got 40 million views on the music video for this song. He's racially ambiguous. He can dance very well. He kind of has the package of what people like. He's sort of an A1 artist, if that makes sense, before it was a thing.
Well, I mean, and that I think is very telling, right? To compare Bruno Mars to AI art is not really a warm comparison to make. You know what I mean?
Well, but predates it, and I don't have as much of a gripe against Bruno Mars because when I watch him perform live, I'm I am entertained.
You're charmed. Yeah. I guess I'm not as charmed. I'm not as charmed by it. And I think
and that's okay.
It seems really cynical to me. Some people make work that is nostalgic and referential to past genres. One of your favorite albums from last year was the Olivia Dean album, right? This is a very classic album, a classic sound that she's doing. And I like that album. You know, I think that she has like a genuine love of that style of music. And I just don't get that from Bruno. It just seems like Bruno's like, I don't know, I guess he got a hit with Uptown Funk and he's like, I'm just going to keep doing this for the rest of my career. Like, it seems like he has not grown.
He had many hits before Uptown Funk.
He did. And that was when he, in my opinion, that was the peak of his career, when he was like more interested in messing with different genres and he was being a songwriter for different artists. As soon as Uptown Funk went off, it was like his entire career was just like, I'm going to keep making Uptown, like 100 versions of Uptown Funk. And that's my entire career, you know? And it's just boring. It is honestly boring to me.
Very boring. Okay, well, that's fine. I agree with what you're saying, but I'm not a hater, if that makes sense.
You're like, it doesn't bother you.
I just like, I guess I hold him in like a different category of artists because, again, like my expectations for him are not ever high. I don't ever expect to hear anything new or to be surprised.
Yeah.
And, you know, like his music to me is like inoffensive, you know? And like, I know that's not what you and I really generally want in music. We don't want something that's like blasé, like whatever, is like we've heard this before, but I think that music has its place. I also think recession indicator.
Everything is a recession indicator.
Well, when I'm sitting there winking you in the face, kind of hard to deny.
Before we move on to Heated Rivalry, I want to talk about another TV show, Geoff, really quick.
Tell me.
The first trailer for the 3rd season of Euphoria has dropped.
Oh, well, okay.
Have you seen it?
Yes. Well, Justin, I did see about 30 seconds of it on my feed yesterday. I did not watch the entire 2-minute and 30-second trailer. What are your thoughts? Because I have some with just the snippet I saw.
Okay, well, the crew's back, Geoff. The crew is back. We got Zendaya, we got Sydney Sweeney, we got Maude Apatow, we got Jacob Elordi. The whole crew has returned. And okay, I have multiple potential issues with the show. Now, I want to say we have explicitly and many times talked about our skepticism of this season, right? On many levels, because the showrunner, I'm forgetting his name right now, but the showrunner had a really huge flop with The Idol a few years ago, a show that was almost universally panned. Also, all of these stars have much bigger careers now, and they may not be interested in returning to Euphoria. And also, it was taking so long to produce that we were like, is this even happening? And it is really happening. Right. There's actual footage of that is in this trailer. So it's possible that this is good despite all that. But here are my concerns. 1, Sydney Sweeney's character. I mean, Sydney Sweeney has, ever since she got big in Euphoria, has knowingly taken advantage of her beauty to perpetuate her fame and to become a bigger star, right? But this trailer features Sydney Sweeney in a bunny outfit. Like, there's like at least a couple seconds long shot just straight on her ass. And then it seems like she's making kind of OnlyFans content in the world of the show. And Sam Levinson is the showrunner's name, just came to mind.
Yeah.
He is not afraid to like show off Sydney Sweeney's body for clicks on this trailer, right? That's really the only scenes we see of Sydney Sweeney are these scenes where she's making quote unquote content in these like very skimpy fits. Is that in the spirit of seasons 1 and 2 of Euphoria? I mean, I guess, but I don't know.
Okay, I'm gonna have to stop you because firstly, the outfit that she's wearing in this, I think she's like wearing like a deer outfit, maybe. I think she is supposed to be a dog, and the way that she's shaking her butt on it looks like a sideways Mario question block. And has like the brown dog tail like hanging between her butt cheeks. It just looks like a big turd that she's trying to shake out.
Okay.
That's just what it looks like to me. And that's tough.
So you're saying that's just a note for the creators of Euphoria?
That's like more of a, you know, cinematography note that I have about that. It looks like she's dangling a huge turd and trying to shake it loose. Like it's kind of stuck on its way out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not a cute look. Also very odd. It looks almost like a photo shoot to me because she has like these flamingos and she's like on some estate in that shot. It's very odd.
It is a photo shoot. She's making like OnlyFans content, and Jacob Elordi's character comments on that and seems to be mad because he seems to be like a construction manager, which is exactly where I would expect him to end up. That character, his dad was in construction, right? If I remember correctly from the previous 2 seasons.
That's right. Sorry, that was just my thing about that. You tell me more about your thoughts.
Yeah, so that's really the only scene we have with Sydney Sweeney. I think that so much of this trailer is dedicated to, what's Zendaya's character's name? I'm totally blanking.
Rue.
Dedicated to Rue's storyline, which seems to be very Breaking Bad. She owes, this drug dealer money.
Laurie, the iconic Laurie,
who did have a great role in season 2 of the show. Basically, it seems like she's trying to get the money together somehow. She might be like the center of a feud between Laurie and a new drug dealer who is portrayed by Adewale Akinoye Agbaje. I'm sure I'm pronouncing his name wrong, but he's probably best known for portraying Mr. Echo in Lost. He's featured heavily in the trailer, and it seems like maybe Rue is the center of a turf war between Laurie and his character. And that's like the vast majority of the action. There's like shotguns being loaded, Rue running a lot. Zendaya is heavily featured. I'm just like, are we now in a full crime show, as opposed to like a teen drama? I guess I just don't know what this show is anymore. And this trailer feels like the show might not know what it is. We barely see Jules. The only thing we get from Jules, who is Hunter Schafer's character, is that she is apparently like a sugar baby. No context for that, right?
Yeah.
And then we have, I think, one shot with Alexa Demie, who plays Maddie. She tells, I think, Rue that she would never be a sugar baby, even though Jules is. And that's the only shot we get of her. We only get one shot of Maude Apatow. So I'm very curious to see what happens here. If this is just like a Breaking Bad twist, that'd be surprising for people, I think.
I think it would. I actually would be totally cool with this show becoming something more like a Breaking Bad, because I do feel like, these actors are all aging, and it was already kind of a stretch to think that most of them looked like high schoolers, and they can't keep up that charade for longer. So of course there's a time jump, which I hate, but I'm like, okay, like if we're going to completely change the setting of the show because it's no longer happening like in high school and in their homes after school, let's completely change the show. So I would be okay with it being like a tonal shift away from teen drama and maturing along with the characters. That could be cool. I will say, like, I at first felt like this trailer was probably bad, but it seems like it did its job because we're both curious to see more, right?
Well, I'm curious
talking about it.
I am curious to see parts of this. I don't know that I need to see OnlyFans photo shoots of Sydney Sweeney for a significant proportion of this.
I know that's what you're searching in Pornhub, Justin. Don't you even lie to me.
I'm searching Sydney Sweeney
look-alike.
No.
Sydney Sweeney boobs. Sydney Sweeney in bikini top.
I guess I don't trust that Sam Levinson has anything interesting to say about sex workers or OnlyFans. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I think that Sam Levinson is probably a big creep. And I also think that he's probably not a very good showrunner. And I think we've heard from multiple different sources that are reputable and really have nothing to lose, that he's just like generally not that nice of a person and difficult to work with. So I'm not surprised by that. I will say I'm going to be watching this just because I want to see Martha Kelly on my screen all the time, always, in everything. She is funny in everything and also a compelling dramatic actor.
Yeah, Martha Kelly, who plays the drug dealer Laurie, she is a main cast member in season 3. So,
which I love. I think that's such a move to make. I want to see Alana Ubach. I want her to have a bigger role. She plays Sydney Sweeney's mom. What's Sydney's character's name in the show? I can't remember.
Cassie.
It's been so long. I think when did it come out? Was it 2022 or 2021?
2019. The previous season. The previous season came out in 2022. Season 1 premiered in 2019, yeah. And there was like a delay due to the pandemic. I still think that the best episodes of Euphoria are the 2 pandemic episodes, especially Hunter Schafer's episode that she co-wrote with Sam Levinson.
That like long one, yeah.
Yeah, excellent. I still think those are the best.
Hunter Schafer's a great actor, yeah. I think that Hunter Schafer has like a big career burgeoning right now.
Yeah.
What was that movie that she was in last year you saw?
Cuckoo,
that's right, the horror movie.
That came out a couple years ago, actually, but...
Oh, whoop.
I think before we started making this podcast, but I really enjoyed that underrated film from that year.
Well, I'm curious. Can we talk about The Idol for a second? Because I don't think we've ever really discussed it on the pod.
I have never watched, so I just know that it was like really critically panned.
I think that is true because I do think that it was like, I think it was supposed to be like another provocative, sexy kind of like thriller almost in the vein of Euphoria. Same creator, Sam Levinson. I think that the writing was bad, but I have to tell you, I think that Lily Rose Depp is an incredible actor.
Oh, she's great.
The opening shot of that show was her really zoomed in close up of her face. And she was in the setting of a show. She was like on a photo shoot. I think it was a photo shoot, or maybe it was a screen test, but whoever it was, the creative director was like shouting like different emotions for her to portray. And she was incredible. And I immediately saw that and was like, Emmy, 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 Emmy. Like she was so good. It was amazing. I was like truly floored.
Listeners, she did not win an Emmy.
She
Nobody won an Emmy for that
did
show. Yeah.
Well, I think it's because the show was so bad. And I think that the writing was bad. And of course, I think we all know that The Weeknd, Abel's acting was terrible.
Not the greatest.
Not the greatest. It was terrible.
Thankfully, after The Idol came out and was panned universally, Lily Rose Depp kind of had an immediate comeback with Nosferatu, which we saw together, and she was great in that film, I thought.
Lily Rose Depp.
She was incredible in that movie. I think underrated performance. I think she may have missed out on some awards from that, but horror bias.
They hate to award the horror.
They do.
The horror. That's the title of last year.
Title of our lives.
2025. The horror.
Jeff, let's take a quick break and we're going to come right back to talk about something that is definitely not horrifying. Heated Rivalry.
Martha Kelly? Okay. We love that too. We'll be back. And we're back.
Jeff, we're back, and we're going to talk about your favorite show of last year, according to our favorite TV and film episode.
That's right.
Heated Rivalry.
Oh, it's so good, baby.
So for the two people on the planet that have not heard about this show, Heated Rivalry is a sports romance that aired on Crave, which is a Canadian streaming service.
Right.
Aired in the US on HBO Max. Now, this show is based on the series Game Changers by Rachel Reed, which is a series of romance books. And then the show was created, written, and directed by Jacob Tierney. He wrote and directed every episode of the show. And he is also the creator of Letterkenny, which I did not know. And is a very different show. A very different show. No shit. So, talented guy, Jacob Tierney.
Young talent, good talent.
So this show stars Hudson Williams and Connor Storie as rival hockey players who have a sexual encounter just before their rookie season. An encounter that blossoms into something more over the years portrayed in the show. So, Jeff, I propose, because A, there's not a ton to spoil in this show, and B, because everyone has already seen this show. I think at this point, this is a phenomenon, and most of our friends, they've already seen it. I say we just go into this, and this is going to be a spoilery conversation. What do you think?
Absolutely. That's the way to do it.
Okay.
I love to spoil. I go through hell trying not to spoil.
Yeah, so let's give a warning for those who want to skip spoilers. You can skip on to our What's Goods. What's up, y'all? Editor Justin here. If you want to skip our discussion of Heated Rivalry and all the associated spoilers, you can go ahead and skip ahead to the 1 hour, 22 minute mark. Let's get back to the show.
Spoilers abound, F-slurs.
Jeff, now that we've gotten that out of the way, what were your overall thoughts on this show?
Well, Justin, of course, I loved it. I thought it was like the fun, whoopee changey, to quote Sarah Palin, kind of stuff that we need to see on television. I think that this show is great for the LGBTQ plus community. I think it's great for the youth. And it's just really cool to see an Asian Canadian lead character. We love that. And it's also cool to see somebody who is like a Russian character not portrayed as like a bad guy, as like a villain,
Sure.
I think that those are two like fresh portrayals, two fresh kind of representations in media that we don't often see. So that was kind of cool. But, this is the kind of show that I wish was around when I was like a young queer, a young baby queer, It'd be nice to, not see everybody dying from AIDS, people not lying about their HIV status, people not being murdered because of them being gay, people not being bullied because they're gay. That would have been cool to see when I was younger. So I think that this show is actually really great. And I think all the fucking haters out there just want to, like, you know, be in pits of despair.
Okay.
Misery loves company.
Coming out the gate with some boldness there. So I did watch this show in 2 days. So there's only 6 episodes. Very easy watch.
Very easy watch.
I did watch many of the episodes on my commute on the Washington, D.C. Metro. Very risky.
That is an interesting idea. Okay, so you're just watching these bare naked butts going across the screen.
Okay, well, here's something I want to get out of the way.
Sit next to Joe Commuter.
Right now. I feel like even when I was talking, I had not seen the show during our favorite TV and film episode. And when you and Claire were talking about this show, you were like, it's softcore porn. You guys were like, it's basically porn, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. And, you know, it's like porn for people who care about a story, I think is the sentence that Claire used. So that's not what you said necessarily, but I want to just say that this is actually not as porny as I thought it was going to be. I think it's just portraying gay sex the way that straight sex is so often portrayed in romances,
like a little unrealistic.
Yeah, I mean it's a romance show,
choreographed,
right? Yeah, and a lot of the sex scenes are similar. The only difference is that it's like 2 men instead of, you know, a man and a woman. Well, I just wanted to say that because I think that a lot of people who watch this show are like almost prematurely defensive, being like, oh, I know that it's like really smutty and really porny or whatever, but it's like, it's a romance show and romance has sex. It's an important part of romance. And it just happens that this is showing gay sex in a way that is not very commonly depicted in like media. Yeah. So I didn't find it particularly like
salacious
more than a normal romance. Yeah, personally. I wasn't sure what to make of this when I first started watching it because there are aspects of the show, because it is on kind of like a smaller budget level streaming service, Crave. It is a sports romance, but it shows very little sports. Most of the hockey and like what you would consider like a big set piece in a sports romance are kind of like montaged away. Like all of the Stanley Cup victories, all of the drama about the actual rivalry between these two characters is basically montage. And the only parts that really aren't montage are the conversations between the main characters and like the sex scenes, obviously. Right. The other thing that I think is kind of interesting about this show, and you did allude to this, it's very cozy. You know, I think that something that you said in
cozy.
The TV and film episode is that the stakes are high for these characters, but I kind of actually completely disagree in that the stakes are never that high. They are the richest people.
What are you talking about?
They're the 2 most talented hockey players ever, you know, in the world of this show, basically. They both won multiple Stanley Cups. Like, they're both insanely rich. I think that the characters feel like the stakes are high.
Right, that's why.
No, but every single other character in the show is telling them, it's okay. Why are you so worried? And the other thing that's funny is that each of these characters has a straight woman telling them, an ally telling them. I was just
going to say that.
Actually, all of this homophobia is like in your head. You should just come out, like, come on. And like, you know, the main Canadian character is like so concerned about how his parents are going to react to him coming out to them. And watching this show in episode 2, I was watching it with Brandy. I'm like, these parents are going to be so fucking supportive whenever he comes out to them. Like, I just think that that's something that the audience knows watching the show, right? Like, the stakes are more just like, we're rooting for them to embrace themselves and stop the internalized homophobia that they're feeling and like be their most authentic selves. And it's never like, oh, they're going to die.
And so for you, those are not high stakes?
Yes, because they're not, their lives are not at stake.
Well, oh my God.
Their lives are not at stake.
This is so straight coded. This is such a bad straight take. Such a het's take.
I'm not saying this is a negative. I'm saying this is a feature of the show.
Okay. Well, I feel like you're disagreeing with the fact that the stakes are high, and they are really high because they're high to those people. Their reality is, my life will be turned upside down if I am my authentic self, and everything I have could go away, including the love and support of my family. And for Ilya, he does not have the love and support of his family. He's a provider for his family, and he's a financial provider for his family. So he feels stressed that if he comes out, he's not going to even be able to go back to his country, because famously Russia hates the gays and will like put them in a gulag. He has to continue to be at the top of his game and be an all-star player so that he continues to be paid well and be able to provide for his brother, for his brother's family, for his niece, and for his father's care, which is very expensive, as we learn in the show. So the stakes are very high in this show. So your take is very bad.
No,
your take is just bad. It's just bad, Justin.
I disagree with you, because for a show to be cozy, it has to feel like a warm and welcoming show. And if people's lives are at risk, that's not cozy. If there's any actual like material fear that something horrible could happen for the audience, I'm not talking about the characters in the show, because the stakes are high for them. I'm talking about us as the audience watching, right? The stakes are low. And I think that's a feature of the show. And like you said, it's actually great for this show to be in that position, because we don't see a lot of that in gay media, right? The stakes are always much higher in gay media, like you were saying. So I'm agreeing with you. I understand that the stakes are high for these characters, but everybody around them in the world of the show are saying, actually, things don't have to be this hard, you know?
Well, I would say everyone in Shane's orbit is saying that, and Svetlana is saying that to Ilya, but nobody else is saying that to Ilya.
Well, the lone exception to that is, like you said, Ilya's family. But even at the very first episode of the show, you learn that his brother knows that he's gay and is like a raging homophobe, right?
Yeah.
And basically, like, part of Ilya's arc is to know, the same way that Shane has to say, you know, I'm embracing my identity, Ilya has to say, I'm shedding the toxic parts of my identity, right? Like, I actually don't need to be in Russia anymore. I don't need to be affiliated with my horrible family anymore. I can shed that part of me and stay in Canada. I think that that is great. And I guess what I'm trying to say here is, it's a very cozy show. The stakes are never that high from an audience perspective.
Yeah.
For that reason, it fills a niche that is not currently being filled right now in media. And I think that's part of the reason why it has become such a phenomenon.
Well, I think that what is cool about this show is that the parts that are filled with love and joy and coziness are when these gay characters are alone and by themselves in their own world, in their own space that they've created for themselves. I mean, Scott's apartment, Ilya's house, their hotel rooms, Shane's cottage, like those are all safe spaces for them. And so that's when they're allowed to have these cozy moments. And I think that is what we like latch on to, with the undercurrent of drama being that, like, for some of these characters, if they are outed, it really could all kind of blow up in their face. They may not be able to afford these safe spaces that they've built for themselves. It's sort of like a classic thing that happens with queer people, is that we have to create our own spaces, and for us to feel like relaxed, to feel, you know, respite, and to feel safe. I think that these characters have all done that through hard work and through the, you know, financial means that they have available to them. The part of the show that creates this tension and this drama is the fact that, at least to these characters, and we don't know the details of like how much money they make or how much these, you know, elaborate penthouses
cost. They clearly make insane amounts of money. They're rich.
But to them, this could all go away because of that. I mean, Ilya said, you know, I couldn't afford to like not be at the top of my game, because he is paying for his entire family's life and his own. So, you know, I think that is drama and that is tension. But I think two things can be true: that it can be a really cozy show because we're seeing these characters just being free, being, you know, amorous, in love in their spaces. But we also know that, for me, the inner turmoil that these characters are facing is, what was the word that we kept using? It just escaped me.
Stakes.
That the stakes are high.
Whoever you are watching the show, like, you're watching it through the lens of your identity, right? So I think that, like,
I was just going to say that
there's a large queer audience that watches the show, but Jacob Tierney has gone on the record saying that this show, part of the reason why the show is so successful is because it has a very large straight audience, especially women. And I think that there is a feature of this show, like I kind of alluded to before. Ilya and Shane both have a straight woman in their life who is like encouraging them to embrace their authentic self, right? This is like this portrayal of allyship. And I think that
important.
It is important. And I do think it is a little, pandery sounds negative, but I do think it is acknowledging what the showrunner, Jacob Tierney, saw as like the inevitable straight woman audience that would be watching this show.
Oh, 100%.
And I think like from that perspective, a lot of the people, the straight women watching the show and straight men watching the show are like they're rooting for them not just to get together, but to get together in a public way, right? It's not like they're just watching it to be like, oh, look at these two hot men having sex. That's part of it for sure. But they're also rooting for like the emotional openness that can happen in this relationship. Like,
oh yeah, I think everyone is.
When Ilya decides to go to the cottage, they're rooting for them as like a best girlfriend of these characters as well.
What about Marianne Williamson?
What about her?
I think about her all the time. Well, you just said girlfriend, and it made me think of Marianne Williamson being like, and I would call the Prime Minister of New Zealand and be like, good for you, girlfriend. Do you remember that?
No, you were really into Marianne Williamson during that campaign, and I was not as much.
No, I was not into her like politically. Like I'm
not saying you were a supporter. Let's clarify. I'm not saying you're a supporter. I'm just saying that you were obsessed with her as a personality. Like she would be a great reality show person. Yeah.
You know what, Andy Cohen, please. Well, I don't know where Marianne Williamson is, but cast her on the nearest Housewives franchise because she would be so entertaining. I love it. Okay, I do think that you are right about that. I do think, the obvious audience surrogate here is Svetlana, and I'm forgetting
Rose is the character's name, played by Sophie Nélisse,
ex-girlfriend,
who is in Yellow Jackets, which is
Yellow Jackets.
Cool. Yeah. Cool to see her in this. She's clearly playing like a Jennifer Lawrence-esque actress because in one scene she's like getting painted blue like Mystique, which I thought was very funny.
Yes, it was very funny. I did catch that too. That was a fun little Easter egg. Is that an Easter egg? I feel like sometimes I don't know what Easter egg means anymore.
I don't think it's an Easter egg. I think it was just a fun parallel to real life. Yeah.
Parallel. Okay, I like that. It was a parallel, not an Easter egg. Yeah, sometimes I feel like that word is overused. Because like an Easter egg has to be something that's relevant to the world that it's in. Is that correct?
Or to another fictional world or like
something.
Yeah, okay. It's basically like a fan service thing that has no relevance to like the plot of the show or the piece of media. It's just there to be like discovered by the fans.
Got it. Okay, thank you for that important distinction. Media literate Justin. Very important to have one of us on the show. Very important.
You're media literate. Come on.
Well, debatable.
I wanted to ask you, okay, because I thought I knew what the show was going in.
Yeah.
For the most part, I think I did know what it was, but there was one part that really surprised me on watch that I hadn't heard a lot of people talk about.
Tell me.
Which was episode 3, which is the episode where Scott Hunter, the older hockey player, and
Let's
Kip
give it up for
together.
Episode 3. It's actually one of my favorite episodes. I think you're right. It's like that has not really caught on in the narrative of the show, but I think it's like one of the most like touching and relatable episodes in the series.
This was the most emotional that I got watching the show, was the relationship between Scott and Kip.
Oh my God, I love them so much.
Not that I don't care about Shane and Ilya, but
of course we do.
I care about them, of course, but like you mentioned, like queer people needing to make spaces for themselves. We see Kip, who is like a normie. This is, I think, part of my knee-jerk reaction against some of the like characters that we see who are hockey players are all like uber successful. They're in these like luxurious A1 looking houses that are like,
they do. Their houses do look like A1. I have to say, you're right.
It's like, come on. And it feels a little bit Lifetime movie at times, but then we see these glimpses of Kip's life.
Lifetime could never.
And Kip's life feels like a life that I know. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And I'm like,
it's relatable.
It's very
Another
relatable.
Audience surrogate.
And I do feel like that brought me into the show in a way that I hadn't been brought in by the hockey narrative, because I was like, these people aren't relatable to me. They're so powerful. But then you have Kip, who is like this person who there's a very asymmetric power dynamic between him and Scott, right? Because Scott 100%. Is this like closeted, super powerful, super skilled hockey player. And Kip is just
older,
like
very well
guy.
Established.
Exactly.
Yeah, and Kip is like any of our friends who were like many of our friends, and any of our friends who were, and by I mean you and I, but also the audience at large.
We've all had a friend in this situation
who like still lives at home, not because they're like a failure to launch situation, but because like financially it just makes sense. Mm-hmm. They've got like a normal job. They've got some like side hustles that they're doing for extra money. We can imagine he's probably paying off loans, something like that. And he's like got a really cute relationship with his dad, who's very loving.
Oh my God. That's actually the time I came closest to crying, was when him and Scott had broken up and he goes home to his dad and his dad like gives him a hug. And he's like, I don't know, that parent stuff is always what gets me. in anything. So I was like, welling up during that.
Parent stuff does get you. Oh my God, at your wedding, you were so cute when you saw your parents dancing and you were like crying like tears of joy. It was so cute. I love that.
It always gets me. I mean, it's just like, and I guess this is a theme of the show as well, that is both explored in this subplot with the father, with Kip's dad, but also just like largely in every other way, but like just love and like radical love and radical forgiveness and like acceptance. You know what I mean? Kip's dad is just, doesn't know what happened, doesn't know whose fault it is, doesn't care.
Yeah, but he's just a mensch. He's like, oh, come here. You need my love.
Right.
It's very sweet.
Very moving.
Very moving. And also, something that I love about the Kip and Scott storyline is like, I think this is secretly like what we all want in life is like for someone to like immediately see us, immediately be enamored by us, and immediately want them around and in their life and present, and to like take care of and protect them.
What's interesting, I think, about the plot line, and I think another reason why I felt really drawn to it, was that there is like actual strife within their relationship when Scott doesn't want to come out of the closet and he doesn't want to be seen in public with Kip. And you're rooting for them to get together, but they actually break up. It's like a little bit of a more traditional romance narrative where you have like the second act conflict, as opposed to Shane and Ilya's relationship where they're both kind of on the same page that this is like a hookup situation, and they both kind of have to convince themselves that there are more feelings there. They fall, the other two folks, they fall in love like more quickly, fast, deeply.
Hard and fast. Damn. May it happen to me.
And then they break up. It's interesting to compare those two relationships, I think, right? Because one is like a more traditional romance arc, and the other one is, they're both very like stereotypically masculine people, and a lot of their sexuality and relationship has to do with competition, which I think is like an interesting facet of their relationship that's not present in Scott and Kip's relationship.
Yeah, that is very true. I think that Scott and Kip's relationship is much more, it almost is like a trad relationship in a way.
Yeah.
Where Scott was basically like, I want you to be here when I get home from practice. I want you to be here when I get home from a game. I want you to come to my games and support me. You don't have to worry about money. You don't have to work or contribute. I just want you to be happy, and also to like relax, because he's like, he sees that Kip has been busting his ass doing all these like odd jobs. I mean, the second time, or the first time they meet outside of the smoothie shop where Kip works, is when Kip is like gigging as a cater waiter at an event that Scott is being honored at. And Scott is like, can I take you to dinner after this? Like, I think Scott recognizes like his hustle, his grind, and like is like, I love you already, and I don't want you to have to like stress out anymore. You deserve to like have peace.
Yeah.
And I really thought that was so beautiful. And it is like very kind of trad coded. And I think it's interesting because it like, I don't know, maybe I'm reading too much into this, but it is definitely like, the trad wife thing is like really hot right now, and it's definitely trending. And there are a lot of people who are like, no, actually, I do kind of like this more conservative values type of thing.
Well, it's interesting because when Scott was saying that stuff to Kip, I was like, alarms going off in my head, like alarm bells. I was like, oh no, this is not a good situation. I was like, this seems really bad. And then it turns out the power dynamic is bad, because Kip like stays with him at his own emotional expense. And it takes his really close friend telling Scott like he's doing bad, for Scott to be like, we need to end this because it's miserable for him. But then it makes it all the more, I think, like emotionally satisfying in the penultimate episode of the show, when we have this like, in my opinion, best scene in the show. Like incredible
100%
scene.
I mean, hands down the best scene.
Where, I mean, it's if it wasn't so effective, it would be like really corny and cheesy, but it's just so powerful that you're like, I don't even care. Like, they're playing like folksy like music in the background, like so loud, and you see Scott, after winning the Stanley Cup, like publicly come out on the ice basically by kissing Kip. And it's just like,
because all they've just won their competition, the championship, the trophies being passed around, which of course is not called the
Stanley Cup, but the
Stanley Cup,
legally distinct cup. Yeah.
The legally distinct cup. That would have been funny if they called it that. They've won the legally distinct Stanley Cup, and all the teammates, families, and wives are coming down onto the ice to join the players. And then Kip is in the stands, like looking a bit forlorn because he wants to be there too with Scott. And Scott sees him in the stand and then like motions for him to come down to the ice. And it's cool because we're watching this scene as if we're live on the ice watching it happen there, but it's also being broadcast simultaneously on television, which Shane and Ilya are watching.
Right, of course, because they watch every single
and Shane
cup,
with his family. Mm-hmm. Yep. So they're like, everybody, including the commentators on the broadcast, are like, what's going on? Who is he calling down to the audience? And they're like, oh, is this a fan? Because of course Scott is like closeted at this point deeply.
Right.
And it's just like widely speculated to be like a Leo type where he's just like the consummate bachelor. Like never going to really settle down, just sowing his wild oats out there. And when he calls Kip down to the ice and Kip's dad and his friend are like, go, he's calling for you. And Kip joins him. It's just so touching. And it is like, has the folksy music, and it is like in a way a little bit corny.
It's millennial cringe. Like, yeah.
It is so millennial coded, but it is really sweet. And then he like kisses him on the ice in front of everybody and the spectators. And
the camera's like spinning around them. Like, yeah.
It felt very Disney coded, very Disney, like the Princess and the Frog kind of kiss situation.
But it was like glorious.
It was very compelling.
What made it really great for me was that it's a really powerful example of the power of representation, right? Because that happening is what allows Ilya, hilariously, the music cuts out for a split second, and that's when he tells Shane, like, I'm coming to the cottage.
I'm coming to the cottage.
I mean, I literally laughed out loud so hard when the music cut out. I was like, did they have to cut the music out for that? And then the music came back in. It was so funny. But it is like the event that allows them to really accept themselves, like radical acceptance.
Yep.
And that is a really meta thing to say in a show that is accomplishing so much representation, right? I think it is almost like justifying its own existence in that scene.
I agree.
And it's really beautiful.
That was such a great like penultimate episode. And of course then launches us into the final act of this first season, which is Cottage Gate.
Okay, I have a couple of comments or like questions for you about the final two episodes, because there's a lot of stuff going on in the last two episodes, which is
so much
the process of acceptance. Shane, there's a couple of things that I laughed out loud at. In episode 5, Shane said to Ilya, I think I'm gay. Laughed out loud at that one. We've now in episode Justin. 5 of all of the gay sex. I'm like, you're just figuring this out now, Shane. Okay, good to know.
Justin, you're getting canceled for real this time. And it's not even me doing it.
Ilya made the same joke. Ilya was like, oh, was it all the gay sex that ticks you off?
Which that part was funny because it was like Ilya was like kind of winking at the audience in that moment. But I think like there is a time for a lot of people. This was not my experience personally, but there are a lot of people that I know who have been like, yeah, I identified as straight and like I would mess around with like friends or like random people that I met online, but I still thought I was straight. And then, it took me a while. And, a couple of years later, I was like, wow, I actually think I'm gay, or, oh, I think I'm actually bisexual. Like there is a bit of like,
it's an oh honey.
And it's like a cognitive thing.
Yeah. I do think that one of the cool things about
just reconciling
Shane and Ilya's relationship is that they're both very tropey. Like Shane is like the innocent, like golden retriever, like Boy Scout type that has never done anything bad in his life or whatever. And then Ilya is like the bad boy with a heart of gold. You know what I mean? And like what's funny is that they waste no time dispensing with the like Ilya is a jackass thing.
The heart of gold.
In like episode 1, we learn that Ilya, has like an asshole brother back home and that he's really a good person despite it all. Like they dispense with any potential confusion about who Ilya is in the very first episode.
Which I love, because otherwise it would have been like, fuck this guy, don't waste your time.
Exactly.
I think that was very necessary.
And the show doesn't want you to spend any time feeling strife about their relationship. The show wants you to be rooting for their relationship from the very beginning.
And they nailed it perfectly, I think.
And this goes back to that cozy thing.
Yeah.
It is funny because they have all of this sex. And then like in the final episode 6, comes like oh, you haven't been like seeing anybody else? And they're like so happy that you haven't been sleeping with anyone. And Shane is like so seemingly flattered by that. And then it's like all this emotional intimacy. It's like backwards from like a traditional heterosexual romance where like you have the emotional intimacy first and then you have the sexual intimacy.
Yeah, which is wild to me that y'all are still doing that. Like,
well,
no, I'm serious. And this is why.
I want to say that I'm sure that a lot of like straight folks, especially like people who are older, that are on the apps and stuff like that, have a similar experience where it's like sexual intimacy first and then, you have this emotional intimacy.
Yeah.
But obviously I'm like a serial monogamist, so I'm like in a different situation.
Right. But there are a lot of you out there, and so many straight people that I talk to are like, oh my God, I can't imagine like hooking up with somebody the first time you meet them. But I kind of feel like if this is going to go anywhere, you got to make sure that you guys are like compatible in the bedroom.
I think
there's a part of that that's important. And I think that's often the demise of a lot of relationships is like sexual incompatibility, and often, is expressed and like discovered by infidelity later.
It's true.
When there's like presumed monogamy. So like, I kind of feel like if you do it this way, like at least you can be like, hey, this is never going to work. Or like, this probably won't work.
There's so many levels to that, but I think that everyone's different. And some people require like an intimate, like an emotional connection to be physically intimate with somebody. So like
that, yeah.
So there's like a lot of different.
I think that's especially true of a lot of heterosexual women. Mm-hmm. A lot of the heterosexual women that I've talked to. And I don't know if that's because of like the ingrained patriarchy of it all, of like, having to be like a chaste and pure woman. Like, I don't know if it's like truly like a cognitive societal thing, or if it really is like, I can't get in the headspace of like wanting to have sex unless I'm feeling like emotionally connected to someone. Like, I often wonder how much that is.
I think there's probably a lot of complicated, tangled factors that are like impossible to single out,
But, guys, like you put a straight guy, you put a blonde wig on a mop and they'll try to fuck it. It's true. Put a blonde wig on anything and they will try to fuck it if there's a hole.
I think that's a bit of a generalizer. I mean, like serial monogamists, like, Justin, I mean, I can speak for myself. Like, I feel like
Justin, look at this cup. If you were very horny and there was a wig on this cup, so let's see, it hadn't a seminal ejaculation in 40 days.
Did we need the modifier to say that it was seminal?
Yeah, you did. Okay. Yeah, you did. Wouldn't you say, I bet I could put my little neener in here and get off real quick? Blonde wig?
I'm going to give that a big fat no, personally.
Okay, well.
I don't appreciate the implication.
Oh, blonde merkin.
Still no on that one.
All right, fine.
But there were like a couple of comedic points to this point about like physical intimacy followed by emotional intimacy. Like in one of the final scenes when he's like coming out to his parents and Ilya's sitting at the table with him and Ilya refers to him as his boyfriend, Shane looks over and is like, my boyfriend? I'm like, oh my God.
I know,
God,
it was really cute and so funny. That was funny. He literally like put his hair behind his ears and he's like
my boyfriend?
Like, so what are we?
It was, yeah, exactly. There was a lot of that happening long after they had been hooking up for many years, which I found like fascinating and interesting. But I think it is trying to make the point that like in a heterosexual relationship, these are things that like people go through early on in the relationship. But it was like the fact that Shane and Ilya had not kind of accepted their true identities, or at least Shane had.
Yeah, they'd never even gotten to that point.
Right. They never got to that point until this moment when they had been honest with themselves and with Shane's parents. Right. It was trying to make a point, but at the same time, I did find it funny. I also just find Shane's character funny in that way, where he's like, I'm like, bro, this is happening, dude. Like, why are you, come on, take the blinders off.
I know. That is one thing that I actually really love about Shane's character, is that he really is like truly like an innocent little like fawn,
Yeah.
Ilya is like, has had like a lot of like street smarts and world experience. He's like been with many men before. He's been with many women. Like he's sown his oats, and it definitely did that with Shane as well. Like Shane was probably at one point just like one of many hookups that he had, but to Shane it was like very special that they had this connection. Like Ilya was like his first, I think they actually have a conversation like in episode 2 about whether or not Shane has ever been with the guy before.
I think so.
And he was like, no. So it's really cute. And it's also funny, not that I know either of these actors personally, but like just from their interviews, like I think you get a good sense of their personality. Hudson Williams, who plays Shane, is like extremely different than Shane is. And he is like the more outlandish, the more outspoken one, the more like wild one. Like he was just on the Golden Globes.
Yeah, when they presented the Golden Globes, they really exuded, like they had swapped almost in their character.
Yes. And I think that that's what their personalities are actually like. Like, I think that Connor Storie, who plays Ilya, is, by the way, great accent work on Connor Storie. The Russian accent is so good because he's like I think he's from like Georgia or something. Like he has a little tiny bit of like a Southern twang when he talks.
Yeah.
But he is just like much more like reserved, like a little bit more shy, a little bit more buttoned up. And Hudson Williams is just like kind of out there and says whatever he's feeling. It's like everyone on TikTok is like, oh my God, media training could never tame him.
And he's the one that I think Jordan Firstman took a picture with after the whole beef between him and the Heated Rivalry guys.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, which I don't think that there was ever actually beef between them. I think that Jordan just had like an opinion about the way that gay sex was portrayed. But it's like, yeah, the way that sex, regardless of whether it's between a man and a woman, multiple people, whatever, I don't think that that's ever really portrayed very accurately in media.
Right. This is a show. I mean, it's a romance. It has an explicit goal, which is to get you on board with these characters and ask you to root for them. It's not a drama in the sense where it's like, you know, we're trying to unpack like something complicated about trauma or something like that. Right. This is a very simple. We want you to root for these characters and love them.
Yeah.
And it's going for that. And it's going for, you know, I mean, there is like a sexuality aspect to it as well, for sure. Like they're trying to make these scenes steamy. But for that reason, they're straightforwardly presented as like, I guess a little bit, maybe this is how it's like a little bit porny, but it's for, you know, the enjoyment of the audience, right? It's not to say something about sex.
Exactly.
And I do also think that it is an extension of their intimacy. Like during those early sex scenes that we get with Shane and Ilya, I think it shows the progression of their ability to be comfortable with each other when they have these sex scenes. And I also do think something that people don't talk about a lot is that a lot of the early conflicts, like minor as they may have been that they had in the show, actually were like resolved with sex, which later on in the show, when they are at the cottage and in episode 5, they're like, maybe we shouldn't actually resolve all of these issues with sex, right? They're like, maybe we should talk about stuff. So it's not like completely uncritical of that type of relationship either. It's kind of saying maybe this isn't the best way to be resolving our problems all the time. And we shouldn't be competitive with each other about it either, you know?
Yeah, I think that's true. I think you're exactly right about that. Well, is there anything else that you want to say about Heated Rivalry?
I do want to ask, and this is for the listeners and for you if you have any information about this, but I wonder about what season 2, which I'm sure is happening, given that this has been a massive success. I'm curious what it looks like, because my understanding of the series that it's based on is that maybe there are like recurring characters, but my understanding is that some of the other books in the series focus on other hockey players, and it's like more of a anthology thing where like there's a different relationship featured in each book. Maybe there's like, you know, featured characters that come back over the course of the series or something, but I'm curious whether the season 2 will be based on one of the books or if they're kind of going their own way. And then I also would love to hear you speculate about what season 2 might look like in the show.
We do know that season Rivalry has been renewed for season 2. That came out like in mid-December. HBO Max has licensed it again. It will come out on Crave, the Canadian streaming service that's owned by Bell. And HBO will, you know, license it for the second thing. We do know that Shane and Ilya will be featured. I guess that what happens in the books, and I've not read them, is that they continue to like explore the romantic relationship with Shane and Ilya and like their coming out process. So I think we can expect to see episodes about them publicly acknowledging their relationship, and I'm sure coming up with like strategy of how they're going to do it and what the timing looks like. I don't know about time jumps, so I don't know if it's going to like fast forward very far or if like this will like go through multiple years. There are more characters I know for sure who we learn more about. I think we're also going to explore more about Scott and Kip's relationship. I would love to see some more characters. I'm still very interested in Scott and Kip too. I would love to see more of their relationship explored.
Yeah, I want to see more of them. Like I said, they almost are more appealing to me than the main relationship between Shane and Ilya.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, I agree. And I think that all 4 of these actors were really good, really compelling. And the actor who plays Kip, oof, he is so fine. I don't know what his name is, but damn, he is like, to me, like the hottest person on that show.
Yeah, so Kip is portrayed by Robbie GK is the name of that actor.
Robbie GK, like the initials GK?
Yes. Short for, oh, I see why he's... I see why he abbreviated it to GK. It's Graham Kuntz, Kuntz.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that's tough.
That's tough for Mr. Robbie GK. I will say that I think that there were a couple of scenes where the actor portraying Scott Hunter, Francois Arnaud, was like a little bit iffy, a little bit tough.
Tell me.
Just like some of the scenes where he's just kind of like saying out loud the way that he feels to Kip, I was just not buying it. I just don't think he was that great of an actor.
It like the monologue that you were talking about, the monologue where he's like, I'm just going to say this. And like, it's a lot. People tell me that I'm a lot all the time. Was that's
one example. Yeah.
To me, that was the writing.
Okay.
To me, that was the writing, because I was like, this is a little bit like eye rolly, and it felt a little bit like a monologue, a capital M, you know? Like it felt like somebody, like a screenwriter wrote this and was like, this is going to be very dramatic.
Yeah.
You know? That to me was the writing.
I think that this show succeeds in exactly what it was trying to do, but because of what it's trying to do, sometimes characters are so overly communicative in a way that people aren't in real life. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like all of the conflicts that happened in the show are so quickly communicated and resolved by the characters in a way that is almost like aspirational for like real relationships. You know what I mean? Like, which again, I think that lends to the cozy atmosphere of the show, right? It's like, oh, all of these people are so good at communicating their feelings, you know?
That's very true. But you know what, Justin? I feel like I relate to that, because I feel like in almost all of my relationships, nobody wonders what I'm thinking or where I stand on something. And this is not like tuning my own horn kind of thing. Although, guys, if you're listening and you're into that, let me know. But I would say like that is something that I think that we should aspire to and just be more comfortable doing, because how much time have we all spent, myself included, wondering in a relationship what the other person is thinking or feeling, or why they said this, or why they responded in this way, or what their body language is trying to tell me. I feel like let's just be more straightforward about our feelings. And like, it's a little bit scary, but it also feels really good to not stifle ourselves.
More often than not, shows decide that it is more interesting to watch when people don't know exactly what's happening 100%. In the other character's head.
They're buying time.
But because of the nature of the show and the message that it's trying to get across about like acceptance, and the vibe that it's trying to give is very cozy and heartwarming, I think it eschews that norm in TV. You know, for better or for worse, like maybe for some people that's not their thing and it's not as interesting, but I think that this show accomplishes exactly what it was trying to do. It was very intentional in doing that.
Oh, definitely. For season 2, I would love to see maybe another 2 episodes. I did like that this was short. You know, it was easy to watch. I think very bingeable. I know you watched it in just 2 days. I think I watched it in 2 days too, maybe 3. So I would love to see a few more episodes. I think like an 8 episode series would be great. I could definitely see them amping up the sex a bit, but I don't really think that we need that. So I don't want them to lean into it too heavily.
Yeah. I hope that they don't just make it into like an actual softcore porn show. Like the fact that like
right, me too.
Jacob Tierney has experience with non-romance shows. Like I don't think that he made this because he's like, oh, I think I'm excited about the sex scenes, right? Like that's not the core of the show. As much as people are talking about that in like the discourse or whatever, I do think that really the reason why people are drawn to this is not for that reason. It's because of like the emotional connections that the characters have with each other.
Right. They have a tough job though. You don't want to hit that sophomore slump.
Yeah, the expectation is there now, and it's like, do you want to? I'd be curious to know, like, does the audience want more salacious sex scenes? Like, is that something that people are asking for?
Yeah, I don't actually know. I mean, like, I know that is definitely what has gotten the show a ton of attention. Is especially like all the actors are like, you know, hot. So like I know that's definitely what has gotten the buzz, but I am hopeful that beyond that, people are really interested in this show because of what it's saying and because of the acting and the writing. And, you know, the sex is definitely part of it. So like keep that in, but I just hope that it doesn't become, like you said, like a low budget, like softcore porn show. I want to talk about this. We didn't mention him at all, but I want to talk about Shane's best friend and teammate, Hayden, who's played by Kalen Potter.
Okay.
who is like the stand-in, like
this is like the straight guy. Okay,
who has like 4 kids and is just pumping them out.
This was another thing. I couldn't tell if this was intentional or if the actor is just bad. I was like, is this supposed to be like an indictment of straight men, or is this actor just horrible? Because, I mean, listen, he was saying like the craziest shit. What was your take on him? Were you about to be like best actor on the show?
No, I don't think he's the best actor on the show, but I felt like it was kind of funny / cool to see this like very like normal dude who's just like married and is like, oh, come on, you should like get a lady and have kids and join me in this hell that I've created. I actually kind of thought that like his character was a little bit of an indictment of like, what is the term I want to use here? Not heterosexuality, but like
heteronormativity.
Yeah, maybe it is just heteronormativity. I don't know. It was interesting. I feel a little conflicted because like he does seem like he really loves his wife, but he also seems like he doesn't really love being a dad. And he is kind of like, oh my God, this kid is the worst of my 4.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like her that much. Like when they were in the parking lot and in the aquarium, I was like, damn, like he was like, she's the worst one. And Shane's like, you're not supposed to have favorites. And he's like, well, she's the worst. Like, it was like funny, but.
And it's not really portrayed as being like dark.
Right.
There's not a lot of depth in the characters that are outside of our like core relationships. And that's not necessarily an indictment on the show. I think that like they're used for comedic effect in a lot of ways. Probably like the straight women allies are like the most complex characters outside of our main relationships.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell if that was intentional. Like I can imagine the director being like, I want you to really pump up like the bro energy on this delivery. You know what I mean? So I couldn't tell if it was like intentionally trying to be funny or if the actor was just like really not hitting the mark, you know? So I don't know. There were parts of the show where you can feel that it was like the budget is not comparable and the acting talent wasn't quite as prestige as like the kind of stuff that we usually cover on this show. But it didn't affect like the overall success of the show, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree with you. The budget is evident in some places, but I mean, overall, I think great show, fun to watch, interesting characters. Shane's mom is an interesting character who we didn't really talk about, but there's really not that much to say. I do kind of hope that we'll learn a little bit more about her.
Oh, yeah. She's always around him, especially in the rookie season episode, the first episode. She's kind of like always his right-hand woman, I guess. And that's another scene that made me tear up was in the cottage episode after he comes out to his parents and she's like apologizes to him for not making him feel like he could be honest with her about who he was. That was a pretty emotional scene that I really liked. She's a good actor, I thought.
She is a very good actor. I feel like I've seen her in stuff. I know her name's Christina Chang, but I don't know like what I've seen her in.
She was in Desperate Housewives, if you watched that.
Oh my God. Wait. Did she play one of the neighbors on Wisteria Lane?
She played D.A. Stone. I don't know who that is.
Anyways, great show. Loved it. A lot of fun to watch and definitely recommend. And excited for season 2.
Full recommend. But for now, let's take a quick break and Geoff will be right back with some other What's Goods for this week.
Ew.
And we're back.
We're so back, Justin.
We are. And it's that time of the pod. It's the end of the pod. During this time, we like to talk about what's been good this week.
That's exactly right. And Justin, I know that you spent this week, of course, thinking about Heated Rivalry, but you were watching another excellent program on HBO Max. And I would love for you to tell us about it. So, Justin, what's good?
So I finished Task, an HBO show that you have talked about on What's Good in the past. And I just think, we probably missed the boat on doing an episode on this one, but I wanted to have an opportunity to talk about it with you on the pod because I think this show is great. I went back and listened to your What's Good, and you talked a lot about the really strong performances from the cast, but I just wanted to, for people who are not sold on the show, I want to give them kind of a hooky premise to kind of get you in the door, right? So the premise of the show is that Tom Pelphrey plays Robbie Prendergast, who is a garbage truck driver who is stealing drug money from a biker gang. He's kind of this Robin Hood-esque figure. He's stealing from the biker gang and then giving it to his family. We don't really know why he's stealing the money, what his motives are at the beginning of the show. But he's been doing a series of home invasions where he's stealing this money from this biker gang. Now, Mark Ruffalo portrays Tom Brandis, who is an FBI agent who's assigned to lead a task force that is investigating these robberies in an attempt to prevent a turf war between these rival gangs, right? Because the FBI's thought is that it's some rival gang that is robbing, not this like Robin Hood type figure.
Yeah.
So this already kind of sets up this really interesting like 3-faction conflict, right? We're kind of rooting for Robbie, who's like this vigilante Robin Hood figure, because he's like stealing from these bad guys, right? These like white supremacist biker gangs who are selling fentanyl. Like, we hate those guys. We want him to be stealing the money from these guys.
We hate those guys. Hey, don't those guys suck?
They suck. But then we also have the FBI, right? Led by Mark Ruffalo, who's like trying to find Robbie. Like, Robbie's the guy that they're trying to find. So we kind of already know who the bad guy is, and it's less like a whodunit like Mayor of Easttown was, and it's more of a how catch 'em show. Like, you kind of know from the beginning that Robbie's in a bad spot. Like, it's going to be tough for him to get out of the situation. It's just like, how does it all go down? I do just want to talk about some of the supporting characters that are aligned with each of these factions. In the task force, we have Fabian Frankel, who plays Anthony Grosso, who's a Delco detective on the task force. We have Thuso Mbedu, who portrays Aaliyah Clinton, who's a Chester detective and sharpshooter on the task force. And then we have Allison Oliver as Lizzie Stover, aka Stovetop, who is a Pennsylvania state trooper who's on the task force. And I just want to shout out especially Allison Oliver and Fabian Frankel. Fabian Frankel in particular had like an insane performance in this show, especially in the last few episodes. And
so delicious.
I can't express enough how impressed I was by him. On Robbie's side, Amelia Jones, who starred in the Oscar-winning film Coda, portrays his niece, who has been taking care of his children while he's working and running these home invasions and stealing money. So there's like an insane number of kind of like supporting characters and actors here that are doing really great work. But the hook of the show, really, and like the meat of what drives the narrative plot forward, and this is like a very light setup spoiler, but you learn it within the first couple episodes of the show. It's very The Departed. So we learn that somebody in the biker gang is feeding information to Robbie to enable his robberies. So like, we already have a mole. We have an informant in the biker gang that's feeding information to Robbie. And then in addition to that, Tom, the FBI agent who's portrayed by Mark Ruffalo, he suspects that somebody in the task force is also leaking information to the biker gang. So we have like a double mole situation. And throughout the show, we're trying to guess who on the task force is, you know, leaking information to the biker gang. We're trying to figure out who in the biker gang is leaking information to Robbie. It's like rich speculation territory. And the thing is, you grow to love all of these characters, especially like the trio of detectives that are on the task force. I ended up loving Fabian Frankel's character, Grosso, DJ Grossonova. He is a fellow DJ like myself. We love Lizzie Stovetop. Like, Stovetop, an Oh Honey character. Like, she is such a absolute hot mess. And I think Allison Oliver is giving such like a great performance in making her like really endearing and lovable. So it's kind of crushing to think that one of these people could be the mole. You know, that feeds a lot of the narrative tension of the show. There's a lot of beautiful natural landscape in the Delco area, lots of deciduous forest, which like, I know that Connecticut and Delco are like geographically separated, but that makes me feel like a little bit homesick. There's a lot of deciduous forest in Connecticut. And like, when I was a kid, like exploring in the woods, it looks a lot like a lot of the beautiful shots that are portrayed here on Task. It covers a lot of themes that we've talked about on previous episodes in films like Wake Up Dead Man. Themes like faith and forgiveness and what the purpose of faith is. You know, a lot of those themes are covered here. And I also wanted to bring it up because only Mark Ruffalo was nominated at the Golden Globes. So this is one of those kind of orphan shows that is between the Emmys and the Globes. So we'll see how Task performs at the Emmys. But like, this is a bit of a red flag that it wasn't nominated for more stuff, especially Tom Pelphrey.
Yeah.
Emmy voters, if you're listening, like, please nominate this show. The acting performances here are crazy, and I think everybody should watch it. It's a really beautiful and honestly thrilling show. There's a shootout in the last couple of episodes that is like rivals some of the best like True Detective shootouts, all-time crime drama, in my opinion.
I have to agree with you, and I love this show. Tom Pelphrey was great, and by the way, he was excellent in Ozark as well. A great actor, underused. I think I haven't seen him in a ton of things. Ozark is like the last credit that I can think of that I've seen. So would love to see him in more stuff because he really is an incredible actor and he was really great and compelling in the show. Another bad guy who you're like rooting for in many ways.
You gotta root for him. Yeah, like he's in a lot of ways like such a fuck up, but like he has a softness to him as an actor that allows you to really love him as a character.
I agree. And they're also, I do think that this show did such a wonderful job resolving the story that we were there for. Like there's obviously much more to come outside of like this era that we're seeing these people in. There is a lot more to rebuild after. You know, I don't want to spoil anything, but I do not want a second season of this show because I think this is perfect as a limited series. So I'll just say that.
Did you forget that it has already been renewed for a season 2?
Okay. Well, James,
this is the second time that you have forgotten this, I believe. I talked about it on last week's episode.
Justin, that's probably because I wanted to forget it, and I will forget again because I don't want that to be the case.
Okay.
I just can't imagine that the second season is as good. This is giving True Detective, Justin. This is giving True Detective.
I hate that you're bringing that into the universe. I hope that Brad Inglesby does a better job than like Nick Pizzolatto or whatever his name is. But he ended up giving up control of True Detective after the third season because those 2 seasons were not that great, seasons 2 and 3. So I hope that Inglesby has a better head on his shoulders than Nick does.
Yeah. I wonder if it will be an anthology or is Mark Ruffalo coming back? I don't remember.
I think Mark is coming back. I think it's the same FBI detective. I can imagine him being kind of like the link.
He's the constant.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he gets a new group, a new task force each time.
Exactly.
That could be. All right. Well, very good. We love that show.
We do. And Geoff,
yes,
I would love to know after this wonderful episode that we had today about Heated Rivalry, what else has been good with you this week?
Well, Justin, I have to tell you, we mentioned Pink by Victoria's Secret. We talked about the onslaught of low-rise jeans, and we talked about the language, the parlance, the lexicon of the mid-2000s coming back. And all these things I've been thinking about, I said, let me revisit some of my favorite albums from that era. So I want to talk to you about a little album that came out. Actually, I won't say a little album. It was a huge album with multiple hits that came out in 2006. And that album is called The Dutchess by Fergie.
I saw this on the show doc and I was like, is it that The Dutchess? Are we talking about the Fergie album?
we certainly are talking about the Fergie album, but this album is incredible. It spawned so many hits. I'll name them for you. London Bridge, Fergalicious, which I quote often, as you know. Glamorous, incredible karaoke track that one of our friends does quite often. Big Girls Don't Cry, iconic like lifeguard lore moment there when we played that song on repeat after watching The Dark Knight, and I wore the Batman mask and cape while we were singing it. Great time reenacting a music video. Clumsy. Who could forget Clumsy? What a great song.
Yeah.
This album is really incredible. So this was after Fergie had joined Black Eyed Peas. She had been in the band and their like lead singer, and I would say arguably the front person, depending on what era of Black Eyed Peas it is. But for like, I think 4 years at this point. And then Fergie put out her first solo album. And actually, I'll say really the only album that she's done of note.
Damn.
Well, I believe she put out another album after this. This actually might be her only album that she's released as a solo artist.
She put out an album, Double Dutchess, in 2017, which is about 10 years after Dutchess.
That's right. I forgot about that. Well, we can forget about that one. We don't need to talk about that too much. But anyways, The Dutchess was a great album. She has had a really interesting life. For those who don't know about Stacey Ferguson, aka Fergie, she was in a band in like the late 90s. It was a girl group called Wild Orchid. They were always kind of promised as like the next up and coming artist group. I think they were sort of like rivaled with like Destiny's Child, 3LW, like bands of that time. And I don't really think that they ever took off. I think they had like one song that charted decently well, but was never like a huge hit. But she also had a addiction to methamphetamine, which she has talked about openly. And this album is kind of a retrospective of her life and struggling with her addiction. She has on it like some sonnets. Is that the word I want to use?
Sonnets?
Ballads.
Poems? Okay.
Ballads is the word I was looking for.
Shakespeare?
She's not doing sonnets. She's not doing what is it called? Iambic pentameter. She's not doing iambic pentameter.
I would listen to a sonnet written and performed by Fergie, though. That would be funny.
I'd listen to Fergie read the phone book after we've got such iconic performances from her that are comedic. Let's play some basketball. Who could forget that one? Her Today Show cartwheels. No, 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 no. So good. Okay, but this was all before that. Justin, don't sidetrack me now. Don't sidetrack me, Justin. You're getting me off topic.
Am I? Okay.
So she worked on a lot of these songs that were on this album like for years, and they were like, in the works and shelved because she's like, oh, well, I'm in Black Eyed Peas now. I'm doing, our group stuff. And she decided when she wanted to like put out her own album, she took a lot of her shelf songs and reworked them. And will.i.am, her bandmate in Black Eyed Peas, co-produced almost all the songs. It's really cool because this album has so many different genres. It explores like electronic music, there's like some reggae music, there's like some jazz inspired music, there's like definitely like hip hop, there's a little bit of like ska influence on some of the songs, and of course it's like all pop music. She does explore so many of these genres and makes them her own, and she is actually a really great lyricist. I mean, Drive Through Raw as Hell, come on now, talking about Taco Bell.
I mean, that's iconic. You can't.
How many records I'll sell after the club, after the Grammys. It's so good.
It's a bop.
And what about Fergalicious definition? Make them boys go loco. And so delicious. I love that one. I say it all the time.
Yeah. Listen.
So delicious.
It's wild that this album had as many hits as it had, and then Fergie really hasn't done anything on the solo side since then.
It's know.
Crazy. And it's also interesting, like, I think Black Eyed Peas in general, and I think especially will.i.am, who was like the main producer behind the Black Eyed Peas and this album, like, I don't know what happened, but like he fell off hard. Like after the Boom Boom Pow era of Black Eyed Peas, I feel like what happened there? It's crazy.
Okay. I think similar to Bruno Mars, to bring it all back together.
Who I'm a hater of.
Right. Black Eyed Peas, I think, got kind of stuck in their, I don't really even know what to call it, what their sound was exactly. It was like definitely like electronic hip hop. And I think that it just like really fell out of fashion, but it like worked for them for quite a while. I mean, their album Elephunk was huge. They'd been around for a while before Fergie, but once Fergie joined and they put out Elephunk in like, I think that was like 2003 or 2002, they really blew up. But then all their subsequent music just kind of wasn't as good. And they fell into this trap because will.i.am was really interested in electronic music. I think that they just sounded very of that era. And as it fell out of fashion, they maintained that styling. And so they kind of like became like no longer very cool or avant-garde like they once were.
Yeah.
Like, remember their song, Where's the Love?
Well, yeah.
That was kind of groundbreaking.
And then they evolved into the end era, which was like, I Got a Feeling, Boom Boom Pow,
right?
Electronic heavy sound. And I think you're right. I think they just never evolved past that. And so when you listen to their music, I mean, I'm looking at their discography page right now. They had 4 albums after the end. I think I've only listened to some of the songs from the beginning, which had that song, The Time, that sampled, I've had the time of my life or whatever.
Right.
After that, there's 3 albums that I have not listened to a single song from.
Yeah.
In my mind, they just never grew past that very millennial core, like EDM era, early EDM, like Swedish House Mafia style music. Yeah.
Oh my God, Swedish House Mafia. Yeah, so true. And, the other thing I do have to admit is the Black Eyed Peas gave really unstable and uneven performances live. And I think that really hurt them. They were very much like studio artists. And I think that will.i.am is a great producer, but they did so many like mid or even kind of bad performances live. Remember them at the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
That was really tough. Really tough. And I hate to see it because they had like a real couple of years with absolute bangers, jams even. What was the word we were going to use?
Bops.
So many bops under their belts.
will.i.am also got really into like NFTs and crypto and all that kind of stuff. And I'm sure he's into AI now, if I had to guess, so that's another side of things.
We're not doing that.
Tough.
That's not cool. Well, anyways, I beg of thee, give the Dutchess a spin, because these songs stand up to the test of time. They are still absolute bops. They are certified bangers, as Justin might say. And, listen to the lyrics, because she has some really interesting things to say about life and her experiences working through addiction and expressing herself through artistry instead of getting high. It's cool shit.
Now that's a message we can all get behind. Okay.
Oh, Geoff. Justin, this has been a fun one. I love to talk about this.
It's always a fun one. It's always a fun one. And we'll be back next week, and award season marches on. We're talking about the Oscar nominations next week. Can't wait.
Oh my God. I can't wait for that talk. I also can't wait to see who's presenting the Oscar nominations at 5 a.m. in the morning. Who's doing that? Do you know?
I don't know.
Or, well, it's 8 a.m. our time, 5 a.m. for Pacific Coast. Until then, we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye. This has been Bants with Geoff and Justin. Bants is created and produced by me and Justin Benavidez. Graphic design by me and editing by Justin. The theme music for Bants is the track Nebraska With You by Sam Day and is provided by No Copyright Sounds. Email us at bantspod@gmail.com with any questions, recommendations, or just to say hi. And if you like the podcast, rate and review us on Apple or Spotify and tell your friends. And don't forget to check us out on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Bye.
Bye. I'm coming to the cottage. I'm going to do another one of those.
Okay.
I'm coming to the cottage. Justin.
Your accent work is impeccable as always.
Thank you. I know.